Guys, please confirm to me. All of you are getting my voice and screen. Those are attending in online. Guys, please confirm to me. All of you are getting my voice and screen. Those are attending in online. Okay. No response, guys. Okay. Guys, have you understand this diagram here? Whatever the diagram I have given there. Have you understand this diagram, guys? All of you. Anyway, then I need to give some details about this diagram here. We have to understand it. Then after that, we are going to see the steps to prepare first a Hibernate application. Then all the points here we are going to understand now. But as of now, here we have to understand this diagram clearly. How this diagram is available. If you observe this point here, now one by one here, I want to provide the details now. Try to understand this clearly. First of all, what I have to take there, Hibernate configuration file. Hibernate configuration file. What exactly this Hibernate configuration file is available? What is the purpose of this Hibernate configuration file, guys? Try to answer for it. Any of you give information, guys, then what is the purpose of this Hibernate configuration file? What it is doing there? What you are able to get information about this Hibernate configuration file? Any details here? Right, sir. Now, anyway, it's not like any separate heading here. Just we can specify the information here. Right, sir. Now, here in this overall scenario, not here. Now, here we have to understand Hibernate configuration file. What it able to do there? Hibernate configuration file is able to manage all the details which are required to establish connection with the database from Hibernate application. Yes, Hibernate configuration file is able to manage all the details which are required to establish connection with the database from Hibernate application. What details can be required here? Now tell me no. The details would be like what their driver class name. The next one is like what their driver URL. Guys, after this driver class name and driver URL, then what next one here we have to understand. Then driver URL. Next one is like what their database username. Then what next one here? Database password and so on. These type of details here we are able to provide. Sir, all of you get my points or not? What I'm telling you now. Clear? Next one is this is the purpose of like what their Hibernate configuration file. And the next one is after that Hibernate configuration file is able to provide mapping files details, location and the names of the mapping files. That is also be provided here. Next one. After that, what about this Hibernate mapping file actually? What we are able to get from this now? Hibernate mapping file is able to provide all mapping details between classes and tables, comma, id properties and primary key columns and so on. These mapping details are provided by Hibernate. And here, apart from this, that fifth one here I want to be specified there. That is what there dialect. I'll talk about this dialect separately, guys. Don't worry for it. These many things are existed here. We can understand clearly. Okay, fine. Next one. Now this is like what I'm telling there. The mapping details are provided here only. How these mapping details are available here? First of all, employee class 2. We can understand this, no? Employee 2 EMP1 table. Inside this ID property EID 2 column name EID. These are like what their ID properties there. Next one is like what there E cell E cell 2 E cell. Like this here we are able to have like what there in the table name also I want to provide capital letters. Like this here we are able to have some content here. EADDR2 EADDR. Like this here we are able to have some configurations here clearly. This is what exactly the purpose of like what there mapping file here. Just it is providing mapping details now. Okay, now next one. After completion of this, then what next one here? What client application is providing there? Hibernate client application. In the diagram already we have seen that Hibernate client application here. What client application is able to perform? Understand this. Here client application is able to perform three activities. What three activities it able to perform there? Right, sir. First one is like what there, where Hibernate client application is able to perform the following three activities. The following three actions. What three actions can know? First one, observe carefully. Activate Hibernate software. Activate Hibernate software. Then after that, what next one here? After activating Hibernate software, next one is what it will take now. Activate Hibernate software. Then prepare like what there? Pozo persistence objects. Pozo class object only. Then third one is like what there? Perform. Then what next one here? Persistence operations. Perform persistence operations. These are the three activities which are performed by Hibernate client application. Okay. Then observe carefully. Then what I am telling there, when we activate Hibernate software, what Hibernate software will do, guys? Observe carefully. When we activate Hibernate software, what Hibernate software will do there? Hibernate software will identify the name and location of the configuration file. It will load and parse a configuration file. It will read the content from this configuration file. Okay. Then after that, inside this configuration file, we are able to get name and location of the mapping file. Then immediately Hibernate software will load and parse mapping files also and store the data into the objects. Some objects can mapping objects internally it able to store. Okay, fine. This is going to be happen. but objects are not going to be created here. That's a different thing. Okay, then after completion of this particular one here, then what next one here we are able to do there. This is when we activate Hibernate software. Now these works, these things are going to be happen here. Observe carefully. So here the point what I'm telling there. When we activate Hibernate software, when we activate Hibernate software will perform the following actions. What actions can it able to perform there? Now first point number one. Hibernate software will get name and location from client application. Will get Hibernate software will get name and location of Hibernate configuration file from client application. Then after that, what second one here it able to do there. Next one is after completion of this, that another thing is like what I'm telling there. Hibernate software will load, parse and read all the configurations, load, parse and read all the configurations of Hibernate configuration file. Next one, establish connection with database. Establish connection between with the database. Then after that, identify the names and locations of mapping files. Then after that, load, parse and read mapping file configuration, mapping file data. Okay, that's it, guys. Now these are the various activities here it able to perform when we activate Hibernate software. Then what it able to do there, then we are able to understand clearly when we activate this Hibernate software. That's okay, fine. Then after that, after completion of this, another point is like what I'm telling there. When we perform persistence operation, operations in a client application, then Hibernate software will perform the following actions. What actions it able to perform there? Observe carefully, guys. When we perform persistence operations in a client application, then Hibernate software will perform the following actions. What actions can it able to perform there? If you observe this, actions will be very simple. First, guys, understand this clearly. Number one, Hibernate software will receive persistence method call from client application with a persistence object. Then what next one here? Persistence object only, not objects. Okay, then after that, what next one here? After that, on the basis of persistence method, which client which is used on the basis of persistence method, persistence method Hibernate software will create will create the respective SQL query on the basis of the database configurations in a configuration file. Already from database to database, SQL queries are varied. Don't say the same SQL queries are going on in all the databases. No, definitely. Okay. From database to database, configurations are different. Answer my point here clearly. Okay. When configurations are different, that means SQL query syntaxes are varied from one database to another database. No. When they're varied from one database to another database, no, then which database and what exactly the nativity of this database that we are able to get. On the basis of that only SQL queries are created. On the basis of the persistence method, which is coming from client application, Hibernate software will create the respective SQL query on the basis of the database configurations in the configuration file. Okay, especially what I'm telling there on the basis of like what the dialect is representing what their database nativity, then the database represented syntaxes and all. For each and database, a separate dialect is available. Okay, the dialect is representing the total nativity of the respective database SQL queries. Respective database. With respect to the database, what SQL queries are available, what exactly the syntaxes of these SQL queries now, all the things here we are able to understand here. Okay, this is second point. Then after that, by using JDBC API internally, Hibernate software will execute. By using JDBC API internally, Hibernate software will execute. Come on, guys, what did able to execute there? Hibernate software will execute the generated SQL query. Hibernate software will execute what there? The generated SQL query. Fine. Then what next one here? After executing the results, after executing the SQL query, Hibernate software will return the generated results back to client application. That's it, guys. Automatically the results will be given back to the client application. Then client application is able to display the total data. Right, sir? Now this is exactly the meaning of what exactly Hibernate software will perform some activities. When we perform persistence operation client application, then Hibernate software will perform the following actions. What Hibernate software will perform the actions actually? Hibernate software will receive persistence method call from client applications with the persistence object. On the basis of the persistence method, which is coming from client application, Hibernate software will create the respective SQL query on the basis of the database configurations in the configuration file and another point here, on the basis of the mapping details which are existed in a mapping file, which are existed in what there, which exists in the mapping file. Guys, observe carefully. Okay. Next one, by using JDBC API internally, Hibernate software will execute the generated SQL query. After executing the SQL query, Hibernate software will return the generated results back to the client application. Guys, please respond for me. All of you are getting clarity on this total process here, what we implemented. Yes. Exactly. Melvin, at the same thing. Well, return the results back to the client application in Java environment only. As per the Java view only, the results are going to be generated. Okay. Now guys, mainly here what I'm trying to say there, in Hibernate program, we are not going to use SQL queries directly. Okay. In place of these SQL queries, we are going to use some Java methods. Persistence methods are available that we are going to use. When we use persistence methods inside the client application, Hibernate software will create respective SQL query on the base of this persistence method, on the base of the mapping details from the mapping file, on the base of the dialect information from the configuration file. Then it will create an SQL query internally. Then Hibernate software will execute that SQL query by using JDBC API, and it able to get some results from database. The results are given back to the client application. Tell me guys, now I'm asking one question there. In Hibernate client application, have you provided any SQL query explicitly? In Hibernate client application, have you provided any SQL query explicitly? Come on, everybody must respond for me. In Hibernate application, have you provided any SQL query explicitly? No. In Hibernate application, we are going to use persistence methods. Java methods we are going to use. Whenever we are using Java methods now, Hibernate software will convert SQL query on the basis of the persistence methods, on the basis of the persistence object what we submitted. Then it able to execute that SQL query by using JDBC API internally, and it able to provide some results back to the client application. That means as a user of this Hibernate, just we are using some persistence methods with the persistence objects, and internally queries are generated, queries are executed by Hibernate software, and results we are getting into the client application directly. Right, so now this is the logic behind what their Hibernate software. Yes sir, all of you get my point or not? Understood this? Then what exactly that Hibernate architecture, Hibernate internal flow of execution, all of you understand this? Okay. Anyway, forget about it. What are the information here we provided here? Just forget about it. Diagram are given, then some theoretical information also be here are given there, so that you can use this. That's it. Next one is after completion of this total details now. Yeah, exactly. The role of the Hibernate is to transfer to SQL queries based on the persistence method used and executing that SQL queries. Not only transformation, not only translating persistence method to the SQL queries, no. Not only that, executing that SQL queries and giving response back to the respective client. That is the main central point about like what their Hibernate. That's clear, all of you guys. Next one, after completion of this, next one is like what I'm telling to you. Steps to prepare Hibernate applications. Steps to prepare Hibernate applications. What are the various steps here we are going to use to prepare Hibernate applications, guys? Right from very beginning here, we are going to understand that very first one is like what I'm telling to you. Listen carefully. Download Hibernate software from internet. Software in the sense just a jar files only. Guys, previously I said to you, download Spring jar files from internet. Download Spring software from internet. Inside the Spring software, what we downloaded, guys, only jar files or any other set of file? Spring software is what there, only jar files or any other setup? No. Guys, everybody must give response for me. Only what they know, only jar files. Similarly, Hibernate, download Hibernate in the sense like what they know, only jar files only, not any other one can. That's one thing. Second one is like what they download and install Java software and Eclipse IDE. Already you have done this step, I think so. Not required to go for this step. Second step is not required explicitly. Okay, right, sir. This is another one. Next one. After that, what next one here we have to do there? Create Java project and add all Hibernate jar file, Hibernate jar files to the project. Okay, create like what there Java project and add all Hibernate jar files to the project. Then after that, then what we have to do there? Next, to prepare Hibernate configuration file. Okay, guys, observe carefully. Create a Java project and add all Hibernate jar files to the project. Hibernate jar files and database dependent driver jar file. Then both. Right, exactly. Next one after that. Fifth one is like what I'm telling to you. Prepare Hibernate mapping file. Prepare Hibernate client application. Inside this client application, again here we are having some steps. Inside the client application, again we are having some steps there. That steps we are going to understand in the future. Okay, not required now. That steps here we are going to understand in the future. Guys, we forgot one more step there. Inside this, what is the other step here? Download and install database software. Without this, we can't do anything here. Okay. Download and install database software Oracle. Right. Guys, now I'm asking one question there. Out of all these steps, how many steps already we have completed? Come on, guys. I'm asking this question to all of you. How many steps you have already completed out of all these steps? No. Come on, respond for me. Just give numbers there. Give numbers. That's sufficient. I think the two steps already we completed. The second step and the third step. Download and install database software. Download and install Java software and Eclipse IDE. Okay. Right, sir. Then one more thing here I need to prepare now. Here one more point I want to be specify there. Create persistence class. Create persistence class. What class can know? Poso class. Yeah, I forgot even this one also. Create persistence class, Poso class. Then after that, prepare Hibernate configuration file, prepare Hibernate mapping file, prepare Hibernate client application here. Right. Clear, guys? Now let us start this the total process here. Shall we execute this total point now? Shall we start this one by one here? We are able to understand, no? Guys, by the way, I'm asking one question to all of you guys. All of you are getting these notes. All of you are getting these notes. Whatever the notes I'm typing here, are able to access these notes. Already given that link information to you. Okay. Directly the doc file here we are able to get. Don't not required to download immediately. Just we can view that content there. At the end of the course, you can download the total notes. We can maintain that. Right, sir. That's fine. Nice. Now, observe carefully. I want to download that Hibernate. So here, what I have to do there? Google. Now, just I want to go for like what there download Hibernate software. Let me click on it. Okay. Guys, now observe carefully. Now inside this, what I'm telling there, so many things are available here. But anyway, then I want to go for like what there. SourceForge.net is the right website to get all the software there. From this here, I'm able to get it. Okay. Now observe carefully. Right click on it. Open a new tab. Here we are getting some downloads there. Something is available now. Now here at present, just I want to download like only which version here no. I want to download only Hibernate 3. Hibernate 3 only. Here I want to download, guys. I don't want to go for all the versions here. Just I want to go for like what there. Hibernate 3. Anyway, then I'm going to show how to prepare applications with Hibernate 3 and 4 and 5 versions here. But I need to go for like what there Hibernate 3. Whenever we open the source forget.net projects Hibernate there, then go to the files. Go to the files here. Inside the files here, what we are getting there, Hibernate 4 is available, but I don't require that Hibernate 4. Here I have to go for like what there Hibernate 3. Let me click on this Hibernate 3. If we click on this Hibernate 3, here we are having 3.6.10 final. Yeah, only Hibernate 3 version at present here, but by days goes on, I'm going to show like what there, another things also there. Hibernate 4 and Hibernate 5 also I'm going to show there, so that we are able to get some outputs. Now here, let me click on this 3.6.10 final. If we click on it, here what we are getting there, Hibernate distribution 3.6.10 final distribution.zip. Then this is sufficient. Just click on this. Right, so now it is downloading, guys. 59.5 MB, guys. Then previously I don't have this Hibernate content here. Now this I need to wait for downloading the total point. Now it is speed up now. It's downloading. Right, completed, guys. The download is completed. Shown folder here. Now here we are getting like what there. Hibernate distribution 3.6.final here we are getting. Just let me cut it. Cut it. All softwares I want to keep in E drive. Softwares. Now here, what we have to do there. Frameworks. Hibernate. Hibernate 3. Now it's already existed, guys, with me. Hibernate distribution 3.6.10 it's already existed with me. It's okay, no problem here. Then this is the file here what I download. Just right click on it and paste here. If you paste this, here we are able to get it. This is a zip file. This is like what file here we are getting there? A zip file. Right click on it, and if you click on extract here, automatically this folder here we are able to get Hibernate distribution 3.6.10.final. This here we are able to get. Yes, sir. Got my point or not? This here we are getting there. Try to understand it now. Whenever we are getting this now, then what next one here we have to do there? Open this. Inside this, Hibernate 3.jar is available. Hibernate testing is available. It's okay. Then inside this lib, we are able to have all the required jar files. Minimum jar files are available here. These are the required, minimum required jar files. Next one optional and bytecode, CGLib and Java assist. It's okay, not required immediately. JPA Hibernate JPA 2.0 API is required here. If you want to get API support, and optional C3P0 like connection pooling mechanism and JBoss cache, proxul, and these cache and all the related things can. Majorly, what jar files can required here? Minimum required jar files, minimum. Then after that JPA. These two jar files we require here minimum if you want to work with or Hibernate. Minimum these jar files here we required. Guys, all of you get my point now? How to download all the jar files here I shown to you clearly. When I record the jar files, there I will use all the content here. But as of now, here we can understand this point. Right, sir. Next one. After that, what next point here we are able to understand there now? Observe carefully. Download Hibernate software from the internet. They are available. Download and install database software not required. Already we have done it. Guys, please say yes or no whenever I'm asking these questions here. Oracle database already installed in our systems there. Already completed JDBC. Then only you are understanding this Hibernate. So for JDBC applications, Oracle software is already existed here. That's okay. Now we have to use this. Next one is download and install Java software and Eclipse IDE. Both are available. Java software and Eclipse IDE both are existed here. That you know. Next one. Inside this, create Java project and add all Hibernate jar files and database dependent jar file to the project. Okay, that we are able to do. Next one. After that, create a persistence class. This we have to understand now. Yes, guys. Then the next point is like what there? What is the next one here? Create a persistence class that we have to understand. Now here we need to understand like what there persistence class or object. Both are same. What is this persistence class or persistence object? What exactly the meaning of this persistence class or persistence object? What is the main intention of this? The main purpose of persistence object is to manage persistence data which we want to store in database, comma, on the basis of the persistence data which you want to store. On the basis of this persistence data we want to read and so on from database and so on. The main purpose of the persistence object is to manage persistence data which you want to store in the database on the basis of the persistence data we want to read data from database and so on. Different operations here we are able to perform. That means, for example, I want to store student into the database table where student ID, student name and student address, all these are like what their persistence data only. Alright, sir. Now I want to retrieve student data on the basis of the student ID. Here I have to specify what their student ID as an input. No, on the basis of the student ID input there, we are able to read. We are able to read the total data from database. No? We are able to read all from database. No? Okay, this is one thing. So I want to perform updations on database now. Then getting new data for the old data, that is persistence data. So on the basis of this persistence data, we are able to perform some other operations. On the basis of the persistence data, we are able to fetch the data. And on the basis of this persistence data, we are able to store the data into the database. So the data which is required to perform database operations. The data which is required to perform database operations is called as what there? Persistence data. Right, sir. The main purpose of persistence object is to manage persistence data which you want to store in database. On the basis of the persistence data, we want to read the data from the database and so on. These many operations here we are able to prepare about this what their persistence data, persistence object. Right, sir. Next one is in Hibernate. In a Hibernate to prepare. In Hibernate to prepare persistence class, we have to use the following. We have to use the following conventions or guidelines. What are the various conventions or guidelines here we are able to follow there? Now here we have to understand clearly. Point number one, in Hibernate, all persistence classes must be what guys now? POSO classes only. Our persistence classes must be POSO classes only. What's the meaning of this POSO class guys now? Plain old Java object. Plain old Java object. So what's the meaning of this persistence class now? It should not extend or implement any predefined library. That's it. In Hibernate, all persistence classes must be POSO classes, that is plain old Java objects. It should not extend or implement any any predefined library, any predefined class or any predefined interface kernel. This is the point here we have to understand, guys. Okay, right. Every class must be a POSO class. Except a serializable interface, then anything we should not extend or we should not implement. This is one point. Okay. Next one is after that. Another thing is like what there. In a Hibernate, every persistence class must be declared as a public. Every class must be declared as what their public. Why? Because what is the requirement of this public? No. What is the requirement of this public? No. In a Hibernate, in some situations only we are creating objects for the bean components, POSO classes. No. But in general, in some other situations, in a Hibernate applications, Hibernate software will create objects. Say for example, when we're trying to fetch data from database table, that fetch data will come to the Java application in the form of persistence object only. So here that fetch data will be stored in the form of persistence object. Answer my point. So because of that reason here, what we required here, persistence POSO class is required clearly. Right. Sir. Next one is, so in the previous point, what I'm telling there, every persistence class must be declared as public. Why? Because in some situations when we are creating objects for persistence classes, in some other situations, frameworks will do that. Hibernate software will create object for the persistence classes now. But whoever it may be, wherever it may be, whenever we are creating objects for the persistence class, its scope must be required to the respective component. Scope must be required. That scope here we are able to provide That scope here we are able to provide on the basis of that scope here we are able to provide by using what there public. Because of that reason, every persistence class may also be declared as what there a public. Guys, all of you are following these points what I'm telling to you? Everybody, no response, guys. Guys, all of you there? Okay, try to digest these points. Okay? Just 1 minute, I will come back now. Guys, yes, all of you understand this? Right, sir. Next one is then after that. Point number 3. What we are going to understand about this point number 3, guys? Now tell me what you are going to see that point number 3. Point number 2 is like what there in Hibernate, every persistence class must be declared as what there public. Right, sir? Now we can understand this clearly. I want to add a few more points. Every persistence class must be declared as public in order to make available persistence class to Hibernate software to create objects. Right. That's the point here I'm telling there. In order to make persistence class, in order to make persistence class available to Hibernate software to create persistence objects. Right. So now this is the main intention of like what they're public. Next one is in Hibernate, every persistence class must be Hibernate every persistence class must be non-abstract. Why is there? Why non-abstract? No, in order to allow to create objects for persistence class. Answer my point, Kiran. Hibernate every persistence class must be right, sir. In Hibernate, every persistence class must be non-abstract in order to allow the creation of objects for the persistence class. Right, sir. Next, one more point I'm telling you. Now, understand this clearly. In Hibernate, every persistence class must be non-final. Right, sir. Why non-final? In order to extend one persistence class to another persistence class. In order to non-final, in order to extend one persistence class to another persistence class. In some situations, we are able to extend here. For the sake of reusability point of we are able to extend one persistence class to another persistence class. If it is a case, then that persistence classes must not be declared as what there final. That persistence classes must not be declared as what there final. Right now, these are mainly the points here what we have to understand clearly. Next one, in persistence classes, all properties must be declared as private. All properties must be declared as what they're private. Next one, in persistence classes, in persistence classes, all methods must be declared as public. In persistence classes, all methods must be declared as what they're public. All variables must be private and all properties must be declared as public. Why, sir? Why we are able to declare like this here? What is the reason for it? No, right, sir. Above 5 and 6 steps are able to improve. Guys, I'm asking this question there. Step number 5 and step number 6 are able to improve what? Can you please tell me now? Are able to improve what? Right from core Java class onwards, we're understanding this point here. What we are able to get. Step number 5 and step number 6 are able to improve what? Exactly, encapsulation. Because of that reason only here, we are providing like what there? Private properties and public methods. Okay, right, sir. Next one is after that. Yeah, maximum. See, this is a POSO class in the sense one bean class only. But in general, in the bean classes, we can extend anything. But in POSO classes, we cannot extend any predefined library. That's the main difference. Next one, after that, in persistence classes, we must provide a set of set xxx and get xxx methods. In persistence classes, we must provide a set of set xxx and get xxx methods. Set xxx and get xxx methods for each and every property. For each and every property here, we have to provide a separate set methods and a separate get method here we have to provide for each and every property. Okay, right, yes. Then next one is like what there up to Hibernate I'm telling there. In persistence classes, if you want to provide any constructor explicitly, if you want to provide any constructor, then provide zero argument constructor. Then provide what there? Zero argument constructor. Why? Because what is the reason for it? Why? Because while creating persistence class object, Hibernate software will search and execute zero argument constructor only. So then persistence class, in the sense that persistence class must be uh, created, but the object must be created through zero argument constructor. Why? Because Hibernate software will search and execute only zero argument constructor. Right. So this is one point now. Next one. If you want to provide our own mechanisms, if you want to provide our own mechanisms for creating hash code values, then overwrite hash code method in a persistence class. That depends on your requirement here. What we want to provide that depends on your requirement, but that we have to use clearly. Okay. Next one is after that. Next one is if we want to provide our own if we want to provide our own comparison mechanisms between Pozo classes, if you want to provide our own comparison mechanisms between Pozo classes, then we have to override equals method. Then we have to override what method you know equals method. Guys, understand this point clearly? Right. These are the various things here we are able to follow about right like what they know Pozo classes. That means persistence class. We have to provide this clearly. Guys, all of you are following these points, no? All of you are getting clarity what exactly the points here I'm telling to you. Yes. Next one. Here we have to prepare like what there. A Pozo class. Example here we have to provide there. Example. Right, sir. Some example here we require there. Right, sir. We can prepare directly inside our content here. So for example, let me prepare a Java class. That's like what I'm telling there. Employee. Inside this employee here, I'm going to take private into ENO, private string ename, private float, is a private string EADD here, alt insert. Now here we have to provide like what there, getters and setters here. We are able to select all, enter button. Yes, I don't require this actually. For the sake of your document here, I'm preparing this. That's it. Okay, now just example. Now then I don't want to go for like this employee class. I don't require this even. Okay, all right. Now this is like what I'm telling to you, an example. Then what exactly the code here we are able to provide. The total content here we provided clearly. Right, so now both I'm going to use that. Don't worry for it. Eclipse and as well as IntelliJ IDE both I'm going to use there. Eclipse IDE and IntelliJ both the IDs I'm going to use to prepare these HIBERNATE applications clearly. Okay. Right, yes. Anything else apart from this? No. Just we completed what there persistence class. How to prepare this persistence class here we are able to provide. Fine. And in the Google Classroom, I send the same class notes link, guys. You can get it. Already, I shared that link information in the Google Classroom also. Please check that. There I given that. Fine. Next one is like what there. Then after that, here we have to go for in the order. What order here we have to provide there? Yeah. Then study material also we will send, sir. Don't worry. Now, here, what are the steps here we are using there? Then up to now what we completed here, download Hibernate software, download and install database software, download and install Java software and Eclipse IDE, create Java project and add Hibernate jar that we are able to now create persistence class. After these 5 steps are we are getting clarity. Next one is like what there, Hibernate configuration file, mapping file. Then do one thing. First of all, I want to go for Hibernate mapping file. First, I want to do there. Hibernate mapping file. Hibernate mapping file first. Next one is prepare Hibernate mapping file. Next one again. Last one is I want to provide like what the Hibernate configuration file. So we are able to get some order effectively. Okay, right, yes. These are like what I'm telling you in the content here. Now here we have to go for like what their mapping file. Mapping files information here we have to understand. Okay, guys. Now we will understand this mapping file content and tomorrow. Then mapping file and its related content we are going to understand in tomorrow, right? Thank you guys. Thanks a lot. We'll meet on tomorrow. I'll start spring class within few minutes of time. Just wait. Those who are attending spring class now. Fine.